Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into this week's edition of Bullring Breakdown here for the driver interview part. I do want to remind everybody that the driver interviews are sponsored by D&L Disposal, who should be your first call for your waste management needs. They offer a regular residential garbage route in Jasper, Troopsburg, Woodhull, Addison, and the surrounding areas. Aside from that, they also offer dump trailer service rentals for your bigger needs. They will drop it off at your location. All you have to do is load it up and they will take it away. Give them a call at 607-382-7609 to get started with D&L Disposal, the premier residential waste management service in the Woodhull area. And this week, I am joined by Insinger Performance Modified driver Carter Crooker. Carter, how are we doing today?
Good.
Good. What do you got going on? Are you in your truck? Are you working? Or are you just kind of hanging out? Need someplace quiet?
Just kind of hanging out someplace quiet. Yeah. Yeah.
I do want to tell you first off, I want to say congratulations to you and your fiance on the engagement. That's pretty neat.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
How'd you come up with the sign?
I found it on Amazon.
Oh, did you?
Yep. Yep.
That, that makes it easy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Um, so I kind of want to get into, well, I do want to get into last year a little bit. So you drove for Herbie Wright last year at Woodhull, I think for most of the season, and then you drove your house car, your Sportsman at Outlaw. That's right? I have that correct?
Yep.
And then this season you decided to move up in your own house car to the modifieds. Um, what kind of went into making that decision?
Oh man, I don't know. Herbie and I kind of talked a little bit about me running his car, and it's one of those things where it's like you get into it, so it's just like I don't know. Racing's like a drug, so I guess that kind of fueled it a little bit, and my grandpa was like, hey, let's do this. I mean, we ran Sportsman for I think 4 years, so it's one of those things like let's try something different.
Right. Is that something that you kind of always planned on doing eventually, was moving up to a modified or?
Honestly, no. I mean, like I never, it was always on like my to-do list, but it was never something that I pictured happening.
Is that more of a, you thinking budgetary or?
Um, not really budgetary. I mean, like that was never the issue. I mean, I have great sponsors, and I help myself out pretty good, and I got great people behind me. So I mean, it wasn't really a budget thing. It was just the matter of doing it.
Right. And you're pretty young too, so I imagine that just how quickly you've kind of picked this thing up. Do you ever kind of look back and think of, because I think you had what, five feature wins last year at Outlaw and one already in your, well, I guess I'll say rookie season in your own camp for the modifieds. Just the success that you've had in such a, I know you said of 3 or 4 years, but you've picked up a lot of wins in those 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, it's crazy to think back. Actually, on Facebook the other day, there was a memory of my first four cylinder, and it's just like crazy. Like, wow, I come from that to where I am now.
Yeah, I actually went and I did a little bit of digging on you and saw that you won the track championship for the Woodhull Warriors.
Yeah,
With
yep,
I think it was 10 feature wins.
yeah, I think so. Yep.
Yeah. I hate to tell you the bearer of bad news, but you don't hold that record anymore for most wins in a season.
Oh, I can imagine I don't. I can imagine I don't.
Yeah. One of the Morsemans knocked you off. Actually, I think a couple of them knocked you off.
Probably.
Um, so when you were driving for Herbie Wright last year and you're in the modified, now did you kind of learn that as a use that as a learning experience to kind of see what you wanted to do and just kind of go from there? Or did you kind of already know with the Sportsman deal? Just I guess I would think they're pretty close, just power is kind of the only difference.
Yeah, I mean, it was hard because, like Herbie's car was a bar car. So like taking stuff from my sportsman car, which was a coil car, it was kind of difficult. It was like driving a four cylinder versus a street stock, I guess. I correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I'm sure someone will. So,
Would be me.
but it was difficult doing that. I mean, towards the end of the season, I told Herbie, I was like, hey, I'm gonna stop just because I want to focus on winning this championship. Just because the adaptation of going back to my sportsman car from the modified was a little different. It was tricky. Um, but yeah.
Now, with how come? I guess I just want to know how come when you got your modified, how come you decided to come on over to Woodhull? I mean, I'm not complaining by any means. I just, just kind of wondering.
So last year with the Sportsman, it was tough with my work schedule owning my trucking business. I would go and uh, get a load in, and then I'd have to leave and go home versus getting 8 loads in a day. So like there was a lot that I was missing with work. Just to be able to go out on a Friday night and race. So Saturdays, I mean, I grew up at Woodhall. Like I sat in the stands while my dad raced, my uncle, everybody. So I was like, you know what? Why don't we go back to Woodhull? I mean, what could hurt? I mean, it's a Saturday. It does suck not having a weekend still. I mean, but I mean, your weekend spent at the racetrack either way. So
Right. Yeah, I couldn't imagine what you went through last year going kind of working both nights, Friday, Saturday. I did that too, but I don't have to do any work in the middle of the week. I get all my work done on Saturdays and Fridays, so but I couldn't
right.
imagine getting now, did Herbie kind of do all the maintenance on his own car, or did you have any input on that?
Yeah, so I mean, like there was a couple times where I went over and helped Herbie, but majority of the time he did it all himself, and I would just come over with my empty trailer and pick up the car and head on up.
Yeah. Well, you can't really beat that. I
Not
mean,
at
if you're
all.
if you're gonna run two cars, I don't know how some of these guys do it. I know some of them run. I know Tim Guild and a few of them run every week, and I just don't know how
Yeah.
they can keep up with it.
Yeah, it's bad enough having one car and doing it on 2 nights, and yeah, that's tough.
Yeah. Well, you said you run a trucking company, right?
hmm
Is that your own company or do you work for somebody?
No, that's my own. I'm just contracted with gravel pits.
Okay. So they just call you up and you take it away.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I see you're always looking to get rid of some stuff on Facebook.
Yeah, on slow weeks. Yep.
Yeah. I've never needed it or I'd call you. Actually, that might be a little out of your range. So where do you deliver to? Everywhere?
I mean, yeah, I can deliver pretty much everywhere in New York State. I'm so young. It's a big thing. You can get your Class A when you're 18, but you can't go out of state till you're 21. So it makes it tough because I get a lot of people from PA that are like, "Oh yeah, can you know?" And I'm like, sorry."
Right. Yeah, and I imagine that's not something you want to get caught doing.
No, no.
I think they're probably pretty strict. I know everything else with a CDL is pretty strict, so I imagine that is too.
Yep, yep.
So I guess I want to touch on your first. Well, I guess it's your second year in the modifieds, but your first one out of your own team. Is this kind of what I'm looking at the points right now, and your top dog? Is that kind of something that you set a plan as to this year, or did you just kind of plan on running and seeing what was going to happen, and here you are?
Honestly, no. I mean, my main goal this year was to get a win, and we did that, what, third night out? And to have the points lead, that's, a pretty big deal. Uh, being my first full year in a modified.
Yeah, and yeah. So I'm looking at it. I think it was 3 week. Yeah, week three, and then I think week five. You finished in second, but I think you might have had. I would have loved to see if you would have started a little bit more towards the front, because I think you might have been the only guy on the track that had something for AJ.
Yeah, that car really came on there at the end. It would have been a nail biter, I think, if we had a couple more laps or if I started up.
Yeah. Do you think a caution would have helped you out there? Do you think that would have cooled your tires down and you would have? I guess you never know, but
It's so hard saying. I mean, anything can happen in the racing world, so
yeah. Well, fun fact, you're the only person with five top fives in the first 5 weeks. How's that make you feel?
I guess good.
Well, I would say the best thing is that means it's consistent and you're keeping everything together. So some weeks
Right.
I'd say that's a big achievement.
Right, yeah.
And I know that you guys don't want to work on cars more than you have to. I can't I always tell people that I think the most fun thing for a driver to do would be that you take your car home Saturday, Sunday morning, you get up and wash it, and then you can just worry about the rest of the week about how to get faster and not worry about pounding dents out.
Yeah, I mean that's always the plan, but it's a racing thing, you got to expect the unexpected with these things. So, it's always tough. I mean, going into the next week, I mean, you never know what you have.
Right. So is your plan just to kind of run Woodhull this year? I know that I saw some I think you put on there that you might venture over to Outlaw a little bit. Maybe I don't know. I might be just kind of digging for information here, but maybe tomorrow night might be a
No, tomorrow night, we're not gonna go.
no.
That was kind of an original plan in the beginning of the year. Outlaw definitely will get over there for sure. But probably not tomorrow night. I mean, going into it blindfolded, and it's such a big show. It's tough. I mean, I'd go on a regular night.
Right. So you don't do you think your past experience there in a sportsman, do you think that helps you at all, or are they so different that you really can't tell until you get out there?
No, I think the past experience for sure definitely helps. The only really difference is power. I mean, I think personally,
Right. Yeah, they go a little bit faster over there too. A
a little bit.
little more like, but I'm sure that's what you like though. I'd have to imagine race car drivers usually don't like to go slow.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, slow's never fun.
Right. Um, so what do you have something that sticks out as kind of like I got one that I could think of off the top of my head, but that a race that kind of I guess one that sticks out in the top of your head of maybe a win you had, or take out the first modified win out of it because I that might be up there just because it's a modified, but take that one out there. So all your sportsman wins. Is there anything there that might stick out to you?
Like one of my best, or
Yeah.
like.
Hmm.
Oh man, that's tough. I've won a lot of races. I want to say there was a race at Outlaw, and don't know the date. I don't know what show it was, to be honest with you. But I started like I think fourth, and I dropped like to ninth, and I it was like the car was just doing nothing, and then I came all the way back up front and won it.
Do you remember? Well, you probably do, but do you remember? I think it was championship night last year at Outlaw, and you drove from I think it was 10th or 11th to win, or am I remembering that wrong? I thought there was one
Honestly,
where you drove from deep in the pack and came up and won
there was
at
there
the end
was
of the year.
I don't remember which one it was, but there was a couple of them that I did start deep, and it was like one of those nights where it was like, wow, like this is gonna be tough, and yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Um, Now what goes through your head when you start that deep into the field? Just kind of uh saddle up and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, like, I'm one to get in my head a lot, so I guess it's one of those things where it's like you go into the race and you start really deep, and it's like, mm, I'm not gonna do anything tonight. And then you get to like third, and you're like, oh wow, I actually have a chance at this. And then it's just like, spite of the moment there.
Right. Do you ever find yourself praying for a caution?
There is times, yeah, yeah, like especially this year.
I was gonna say I think I know one of them because I would have loved to see what would happen between you and AJ. I do. That's gonna be one of the things that I kind of wonder for a while if and maybe he was just faster, but I would have liked to see it.
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, you can look at lap times, but his was fastest on lap two, and then mine was fastest on lap 25. So I mean, it goes to show that we're both, super strong, and it'd be like I say, a nail biter for sure.
Right. Do you have any plans to go to any other track or just Outlaw later in the year in a Woodhall? But
Unless, a week where there's nothing, then probably just outlaw.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, did you do anything fun for the 4th of July?
Um, Blew some stuff up. That's about it.
Anything you want to go into detail on?
Uh, no.
Just your regular
No.
fireworks, we'll leave it
Yeah,
at that.
just a normal 4th of July for pretty much anyone.
Right. Did you have a picnic?
Yeah, we had a little get together.
Yeah, those are my favorite parts about the 4th of July is the picnics.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
But
always a good time.
yeah, well, as I'm sure you could guess by looking at me, But um, so what I guess how far do you see yourself doing this? I know that you just kind of hopped into the first full season in a modified out of your own camp. Do you just see yourself sticking with this for the foreseeable future, or maybe making a move to a different class, or what are you thinking?
Honestly, I don't think I'd race anything other than a sportsman or modified. I mean, they're the same car, so it's just jumping out of a four cylinder to a sportsman was like, wow, I'm actually driving a real race car. Like, that's what it felt like. So I don't foresee myself in anything else, honestly.
Right. So you're a full fender guy, or yeah, you're an open wheel guy.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, for sure.
Well, yeah, I won't tell you what Brandon Conklin said about it then. He called you guys some farm scratchers.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much.
He said race cars have fenders on them, farm tractors don't. And
Yeah.
as a modified guy, I thought about kicking him out, but it got
Right,
the better of me. I said, well, I better uh, figured I better keep him happy and not kick him off of the show because, you know,
right.
I don't have enough people that like me as it is, so I can't be adding more.
Yeah, you'll have that.
So I gotta know when you went to your dad, I assume you talked to your dad and you said, "Hey, Dad, I'm gonna buy a modified." Did he say, "Well, I'm gonna get one too then"?
So it's funny because like a lot of people don't really know this. So it's obviously it's honestly weird the way that we like do it with our family because like I'm not saying our family is weird at all for it, but it's just how it's always been. Um, but like my dad started me out in go-karts. That was, my dad's thing. And then my great grandfather, before he passed, he bought me my first four cylinder. Then my grandfather had taken it on, and then he's always been the one that has, foot the bill. And then last year, he was like, "All right, well, you can do it on your own now." So then I was, and he helped me out still. And then same thing with this year. And once we decided that, hey, we're gonna go modified racing, it was kind of one of those things. Like my dad, when I had a sportsman, my dad had a sportsman. Now it's I have a modified, my dad has a modified. So it's just kind of one of those things. Like I don't know, we like doing it together, even though we don't do it together. Yeah, I don't know. It's confusing, and a lot of people are like, why don't you guys just, make one big race team or, and it's always been that way.
Right. How do you like racing against your dad?
I mean, it's good. I mean, it's tough at times because he does struggle a little bit. So I mean, sometimes there is times where like I I I'll lap him or uh there's like last year I felt terrible, but I was in it for the points. He was leading this race and I'm in second, and it's one of those things. It's like a do or die moment, and I did go around him. I would have loved to have him win that, but it was just like I felt terrible, but it was what was best for me in the situation.
Right. I'd love to hear your dad's point of view on that because I'd almost bet that he'd say he'd rather see you win.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure he did say that. So
Well, now you might be getting to the point though. I mean, you've won a bunch of sportsman races, you won a modified race. Now you might be getting to the point where he's telling you, maybe just let me have one. Maybe just
Yeah, yeah. No, we gotta get him on there. We gotta get him going good again.
well, tell him he's got to come every week. He takes weeks off at a time. That's not how you do it.
Weddings,
Is that what it
weddings.
was? Weddings? Yeah,
Yep.
I struggle with getting invited to weddings. I seem to always get invited to weddings, and I don't know if I can go or not go. So I've got a hard and fast rule. I said, if I can't leave your wedding by 3 o'clock, I'm not coming.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that should be everybody's wedding.
Yeah,
Who has a wedding on the weekend anyway?
right. At least let it so people could take off of work on a Friday or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I always thought that if I could make it in time and I could at least go to the ceremony and stuff, I could skip like that's all I'd have to go to. But if you can't make it there in time, then I'm not coming. So and
Yeah, exactly.
I think
Yep.
most people that know me expect that too. I mean,
Yeah, I know. Everybody knows I race, so you'd think it'd be the same.
right. So does that mean you're not going to see a Saturday wedding in your future?
Um, I guess not.
You better pick your words carefully.
Yeah. Yeah.
How does she do it with the racing? Does she like to go and everything or
Yeah, I mean, she always is there. She supports me, and I can't thank her enough for it. Especially like there's like today. I mean, like I got home from work and went right working on the race car. I mean, it's tough because like I'm gone a lot, especially with work. I mean, I'm gone and then I come home and I work on the race car. So like I'm not home a lot, but I appreciate her patience with me for that.
right? Now, where's your shop at? Is that close by or
Yeah, it's right in Savona.
okay? And is that where you live?
I live in Campbell,
Yeah.
so it's like
Right.
5 minutes.
Now, do you and your
If
dad
anybody knows in Campbell.
do you guys work out of the same shop or do you guys kind of do your own thing and then meet up on Saturdays?
So we don't work out of the same shop, but my race car is at my grandparents' shop,
Mm,
which is they have a race shop built there. And then my parents live next to my grandparents, so his is in his garage, so it's walking distance apart.
right.
I
You could
mean, I
you could
guess yeah.
you could throw a rock and hit your dad working on his car.
Yeah, pretty much.
Have you ever thought about doing that? Maybe in a week
No.
where you
He does
he what?
throw firecrackers across the fence occasionally at me, so
Oh,
there's that.
I thought maybe some Sunday when he was slowing you up in lap traffic or something, you might be throwing a rock over there when he's washing the car.
No, no.
Have you guys ever gotten into it on the racetrack?
I don't think so. I mean, there is times where, I'll give him the bumper, but I don't think we've ever,
Has he ever
there's
given
never
you the
been
bumper?
oh, I'm mad at you.
Right.
Um,
That's a no.
I don't know. I really don't know. He might have, but I don't know.
I'm gonna say that's a no because I think you would have remembered it if your dad gave you the boot.
Yeah, probably.
Now what kind of track do you like better? I know that you've ran Woodhull all this year and Outlaw last year. Do you like the more wide open or do you like the kind of the trickiness of the bull ring styles?
Honestly, I don't I don't care what the track's shape is. Um, I'm more of a condition type of person. Um, so, like if you have like a dry slick track, I mean, I seem to like that just because I think it takes a driver to drive on that type of track. Um, Heavy track, I feel like everybody's fast, but that's a tough question. I mean, like I don't really have a favorite track, I mean, they're all, equally the same to me.
Right. Do you have a track that you went to and you just kind of got out of the tra or got out of the car in hot laps and went, "Oh boy." I don't know if is there anything that kind of sticks out that way? Because I know you traveled a little bit in your sportsman. Is there a track that you just kind of got out and went, "Wow, I don't know what we're in for"?
I want to say 5 Mile. Like it sounds like, kind of stupid, but that track's like so weird. It's like sand almost. And
Hmm.
I'd never been there, so it's tough.
Have you ever been to Afton?
Never been to Afton.
No, because I think Afton's or am I thinking Thunder Mountain? I think
But
or they might all be about the same idea, but I think Thunder Mountain
yeah,
might be more.
Thunder's kind of the same way.
Have
Very
you ever
sandy.
have you ever been there?
I've been there with my uncle, but I've never raced there.
Okay. Is your uncle Craig?
Yeah.
Okay, and your dad's Greg.
Yeah. Craig and Greg.
Yeah. Well, I think I owe your grandma an apology because I think there's been a few times at Woodhull where I've said Craig instead of Greg.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm
Just not
sure.
even, especially last year when I was working at both places and I was saying Craig Crooker all the time over there, and then at Woodhull he'd show up, and so you know what, I don't know. I guess if they're that close,
Yeah.
I deserve a little bit of a break.
Yeah, right? Tough.
So how'd you pick your number?
I think it was just one of those things where, 32's always been in my family. My grandfather had actually started that. Um, but my great grandfather, when he owned a car back in like the 50s, I want to say, his was 86. So I'm not really sure how the 32 came about, but it's just always been in my family. So I just, went with it.
Do you know why your dad's 35?
So my grandpa owned two cars. I could be wrong. I know he owned one of them, but one was 32 and one was 35, and my dad and him both raced. Um, so I think I mean, I took 32, so that was kind of his last choice there.
Right. And then Craig, what's Craig, 47? But that's not his car, is it?
No,
Actually,
that's Bob and Brent's car.
who, Bono?
Nope.
No.
Uh, Brent Cross
Oh,
and
that's right. I knew that.
I was gonna say, don't ask me to say Bob's last name.
Yeah, I knew that. I did. I knew that. You know what? I take a year off of over there, and I guess I completely forget everything I know.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
going back and forth on whether or not I want to go over there to watch tomorrow night.
yeah. We were just talking about that.
You know, what are you thinking?
I don't know. I can
Do you
watch it at home.
right? Do you still have the Sportsman, or did you just get rid of all
So,
of that for the modified?
so my sportsman car is actually my modified.
Hmm.
Just changed the motor and a couple other things.
Okay. Do you still have your crate motor?
Nope,
No.
that's at Canandaigua in a car somewhere.
You don't know whose?
Woodworth.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Yeah, I was in Florida with Alex when I sold it, so
Payne?
I've never met the guy. Yeah.
Do you hang out with him a lot? Does he give you pointers?
Well, so actually, I probably wouldn't be doing as good as I am without him. I'm on his stuff for shocks, and he's helped me out a lot. So I really can't thank him enough. But yeah, he helps out a lot.
Do you think we could ever get him to come over to Woodhull?
It's tough. He's super busy as it is. I mean, that kid lives racing, like nonstop racing.
Right,
Um, so like it's I'm sure it's tough for him, and I don't want to speak for him, but
right.
I've been through it with them, so it's yeah.
Well, he's running. I mean, he's pretty much running what all the Outlaw, Canandaigua, most of the dirt stuff, a lot of the Deo stuff. I mean, you know, when you get into twice a week, a couple different series, you
Yeah.
know, you're really stretching yourself thin.
Yeah, like no, he's got the real deal. Like that's his life. That's his job. I mean, he lives racing.
Do you ever see that in your future? Maybe one year, maybe following the short track super series or the dirt car stuff?
It's possible. I mean, just because they don't run like every week.
Hmm.
Sometimes yes they do. But it's possible. I mean, just I would like to grow my business, so that would kind of have a factor into racing for sure.
Right. Yeah, because I think even there's a lot of times where they race, 2 nights in a week up when they go up to Canada or up to uh wherever that place is that's right on the border. I can never remember the name of it. Over by Vermont. But either way, they always run a
Uh,
couple there and so that kind of and then you kind of got to go down to Florida and North Carolina and that's those are some pretty hefty vacations, I'd say.
yeah, if I was to do it, I'd definitely run the North Series. I wouldn't do any of like the Sunshine Swing or anything like that. Just because I feel like I know what it takes to do it, and I don't know if I could do it.
Right. Do you do you think you could do it driver wise? I'll put you on the spot. You think you can compete in
Oh
that?
yeah, yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
It's more the time commitment that you're struggling with.
Yeah, time commitment, crew. Yeah,
Why you can't get your crew?
I mean, most of the time it's two or three people. That's
Is
it.
is Blake on your crew?
Parsons.
Yeah.
He comes around once in a while.
Okay. I saw him at Woodhull on autograph night and I couldn't believe my eyes.
Yeah, sometimes he comes around every once in a while.
Well, I thought after the beginning of the year he might want a little bit of a hiatus from the place. So
Yeah,
I said thanks for coming and I congratulated him on his win at Outlaw. So I, I'm trying to sweet talk him into coming back, but I don't know if I really blame him. I think in that situation I'd be a little mad too, but I'm trying to sweet talk him.
yeah, no, that was definitely that'd be definitely a tough decision for me. That definitely sucked that night for sure.
Yeah. Well, I told him, I said Todd is our tech guy and he's a good dude. He's not gonna, start a witch hunt on you just to do it. And I'd like to see you backing you at a fast car and extra money on the line. That's, if you're gonna sweet talk somebody, you might want to put extra money on the line.
Right, yeah, exactly.
So how does it feel coming up to that big race in August with the recent run you've had? Because you've had some really, really strong runs pretty much all year.
I was actually just today thinking about this. I mean, it's gonna be one of those things where you gotta be on your game because I know there's a lot of cars that do show up for that usually in years past anyway. Um, but I have a little bit of confidence just with the way that we've been running right now. I feel like we'll be pretty decent. It all starts with your draw number.
I was gonna say when you go to a big race like that, is that pretty much, if you don't get that draw, then you're kind of out to lunch or
That's what it all comes out to. I mean, it sets your night for sure. I mean, if you want to, work your butt off, then you're with a bad number anyway. That's definitely what the night sets out to be.
so how do you like the draw redraw or would you rather go to something different? Not at all.
I like no, I like the draw redraw. I don't like how I push a button and it decides for me. I like feeling the chips.
Right. Yeah. I think are you psychic?
Am I what?
Psychic.
No, no,
So you
no.
can read the chips.
I like to pull the number. Like I like to be able to feel.
Hmm. Well, the good thing is if you make the redraw, I think usually Brad and Kim they do something down on the track with. I think last year it was bottle openers. So I guess I can't promise you anything, but I have to imagine you're going to draw it in front of everybody that night. So you better make the redraw that night. You'll be able to
I
pull something
hope so.
instead of just pushing a button.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. Um. So Did you kind of what'd you think at the beginning of the year when you were stepping into a modified? Did you know you could handle it right away or
Yeah, I mean the power part wasn't an issue just because
Mhm.
I had already,
Right.
the previous year had run Herbie's car. Um, as far as I figured like we'd struggle.
Hmm.
I figured, and that, like I say, that was my goal to get one win. So I felt like I was just gonna struggle all year. But to be this good with my first full year, it's, you know, pretty good.
Yeah, with a very fast race car too.
Not bad. Yeah, I don't like to talk myself up.
Oh, I'll talk you up because I'm looking right now. Fifth, fourth, first, fifth, and second. And that second, I'm gonna put an asterisk on it because, like I said, I think you had something for AJ. So I'll talk you up. I'll pump your tires a little bit. I mean, hopefully that doesn't make your season go downhill, but I'll do it. I'm not
Yeah,
above
let's
it.
not start that. Let's not start that.
I'm not above it. I've already given the announcer's curse to a few people, so why not you?
Yeah, yeah.
No, but there was a couple people I talked about that it went badly, but then there was a few that it went well for. So I think I'm about 50-50 in the year.
Well, let's keep it that way.
Mhm. So don't
But me on
I,
the good.
yeah. Well, I just won't say her name anymore.
Yeah, there you go.
Unless you're in victory
There you
lane, then
go.
I have to.
Yeah.
Um, so how was it when you went from running weekly at Outlaw to running weekly at Woodhull? Do you have to change a lot to that, setup wise, or did you just switch everything
Like as
over from the
far as
modified anyway, so it was all kind of new? You had to switch it over anyway.
oh, you
Uh,
mean from like running my car at
yeah,
Outlaw last year?
yeah.
Um, I mean, really the big difference with a modified and sportsman car is shocks, motor, and some people like to change rear ends versus a 8-inch, which is a lighter weight, smaller rear end, to a 10-inch, which is, a more heavy duty rear end. I mean that's really the big thing. Me, I have a dry sump motor, so that means I have like an oil tank that's separate from my motor. So like I had to run all oil lines and all that stuff. So I mean that was kind of the big thing. Alex took care of my shocks. I just called him up and said, give me something, good. And that was all good. And then motor, we purchased one off of Joe BA. Uh
Hmm.
owns BA headers and exhaust. Uh so, you know, I guess it's how much you want to spend. Um, that's really the big thing.
Well, I'd say however much you spent now is working pretty well because you got a very fast race car. So with Alex, he does all your springs? Does he do that for a business or does he just do that on the side?
So yeah, that's his business is shocks. So he builds shocks. Basically you tell him what you want, or he'll set you with a base package, and that's like one of his big jobs. Like aside from racing.
Hmm. Now, when so say you call him up and when you were going to switch over to a modified, did you just tell him, give me something to run for Woodhull? Or did you kind of have an idea of what you wanted and then tell him what you want?
I mean, yeah, I called them up and just told them, I'm gonna be running at Woodhall. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. I just want something that I'm gonna be decent on, and whatever he gave me, just it really clicked.
Have you needed to make changes to him, or is that just pretty much the same shock package you've been running all year?
I've been on the same stuff all year.
So how's that make you feel then if you go to him for shocks and then you tell him what you're gonna do and then his shocks come out and you feel like they're the best thing already and you didn't even have to tinker with them at all?
I mean, I feel like if I wanted to be, I don't even know. I can't even say if I wanted to be better because I can make those adjustments myself on the car. Um, I don't know. I don't know how I would go about
Right.
that.
Have you ever thought about getting into the business of building stuff for race cars, doing that, or do you like your trucking company where you're going to keep that and build that up and hopefully someday pay for all the pay to travel?
Um, I've actually thought about getting into like building bumpers and skid rails just because they're so simple. I mean, I build majority of mine. Um, but it's one of those things where it's like, how much money would you actually make?
Right. Well, I don't know. At a place, sometimes at Woodhull, I think you could sell a lot of bumpers.
Yeah, you better have them there at the track.
Right. Well, I'm guessing most people probably just straighten them out, right? They probably don't. I mean, maybe your bigger guys do, but I would assume most of the guys just kind of straighten them out and maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
It depends on who you are and if you feel like spending money that week. For me, anyways, I just build my own.
Right. I was wondering more about like designs. Seems like there's a lot of drivers that are into designs,
Yeah,
doing wraps and stuff like that. So,
yeah, like AJ does a buttload of them, every
Mhm.
year. Same with Wicked Teas,
I
like
was gonna say Jeff
which
does too.
they're a big business. So I mean, I wouldn't I they do designs. Wow. Um, but they're just so big, like t-shirts and apparel and
Right.
yeah.
But I saw that post that they put up not too long ago where they had guess how many t-shirts were here, and there's a lot of shirts. Um,
Yeah,
who wraps your race cars?
Wicked Teas.
Wicked Tees does. Yeah, they do a good job. I don't sometimes I don't like to talk
Yeah.
them up, but they do a good job. I think that
Yeah, no.
what's that?
Greg he does a really good job over there
Hmm.
with designing.
Yeah. That there's another guy who works over there too, I think. Races at Canandaigua. Guerry? Is that right? Nick Guerry? He worked
Does
there?
Nick do stuff there now?
I think so, but I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, so I thought he did, but I don't know.
Yeah, I know they've hired a couple different people, so I mean, you could be right. So
Right. Do you ever foresee yourself going back down into a sportsman? Or are you just kind of stuck with the modified deal for right now and you're going to ride it out as long as you can?
yeah, yeah, ride it out as long as I can. But if it really came down to it, then probably a sportsman.
Right. Well, I was going to ask if you could ever see yourself doing both for big money shows. I know because Woodhull we ended up getting that 4,000 to win show at the end of the year for the sportsman. So I just kind of wondered if that was ever something that you could see yourself doing or just kind of one car is enough for you.
Yeah, I mean, if I think it's more of if someone came and was like, "Hey, do you want to drive, for us?" Then I would absolutely do it because I have all the interest in doing that. But as far as me to do it, I'd have to get, it'd be like starting all over again with another car. Just because I have my mod now, so there's
Mhm.
no sense of, bringing it back to a sportsman car.
Right. Do you think that familiarity between the two cars, do you think that kind of helped the outcome out so fast this year? Just the fact that it's kind of
Yeah,
the same car and you kind of know what it likes and what you like, and you think that
yeah, for sure, for sure.
rather than I imagine rather than coming into a blank slate, I don't even know where you guys would start, and there's just so much different stuff, between chassis and everything that I'd have to imagine that just kind of keeping it the same car with a different motor and a few other things probably helped you out a lot.
Yeah, big thing is like comfortability. Like being comfortable in a car is huge. If you're not comfortable, then you're not gonna like it.
So do you remember your first time in a sportsman?
Yeah,
So what I'm wondering
yeah.
is when you hit the gas and you went into the corner, did you have it all under control?
There's a video. I ran Adam Taft's sportsman car after the races, and like, and it was at Woodhull. I think I went over the backstretch like one or two times. Then I ended up spinning out. So, no.
Well, yeah, I can't say much because I wouldn't do any better. So I'm supposed to drive a sportsman at the end of the year, so we'll see how that goes.
There you go.
I had to find I had to find a big boy seat or a big boy suit. Austin Allen's supposed to be helping me out, so
Yeah, that's a good choice there.
yeah, he might be a little taller, but I think I could just roll up the legs or the pants.
Yeah, you'll be good.
Yeah, I told Kyle Leach kind of begged me to do it, so I said, well, if you're gonna twist my arm.
Yeah, man. Any
I
chance you can get to get a race car?
Well, my thing was more, I always said I don't have the money for him. I'm not gonna fix it, and I don't want to wreck your stuff. So, and he said, you know what? At the end of the year, when points are over, we'll put the big seat in there and give it a try. So I said, well, I don't know, and he kind of talked me into it. So then next year, you're gonna
Well,
see
there
me
you
buy a
go.
Sportsman. So
Yeah.
I don't see that in the foreseeable future for me anyway.
You wait till you drive it. Then you'll be like, "Yep, I want one."
Well, the money is more the thing, and the see, I like my job, and the reason why I left over at Outlaw was because I couldn't stay up. So I don't think I'd want to give this job up to do it. I think if I did do it, I would go somewhere else, and I don't know if I could stay awake sometimes over there. I get up for at 3:30 in the
Yeah, I
morning on
guess
Fridays for work, so when I'm some nights I'm
I
coming
guess
home
that's
from
fair.
Outlaw, and I'm doing the clothespins with my eyes trying to keep them open. So,
Right. Right.
well, Carter, I appreciate you hopping on with me here tonight. I think I think we could pretty much start to kind of wrap this thing up. So, I want to open the floor to you and just kind of shout out some of the people that help you out. I know you said you got great sponsors and everything, so if you just want to take this time and give
Yeah,
everybody a shout out.
I mean, I there's just so many. I should have created the list and been better prepared for this. But no, everybody that helps me out in the shop, uh, Joe Jardina, Jacob Banks, my grandpa, my dad, and my fiance for her patience, my grandma, my parent, or yeah, my mom, my dad, um, Shimon Concrete and Form Rentals, CS Tree Service and Landscaping, Kid Trucking, JB Auto Care, Crooker Trucking, Crooker Excavation, Relaxin Fishing Charters, Crooker Cuts, Butler Concrete and Excavation, B&B Water, Gang Mills General Contracting. Feel like I'm forgetting one. Um,
There's always one.
I don't know. I think that's pretty much most of them, I think. I feel like there is one that I'm forgetting.
Mullins.
No, not that one. Oh, I don't know.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm looking at your race car right now. So I can't
Yeah,
see
no,
it.
that's what I should be doing.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people either make a
Let's see here.
what's that?
I'm looking.
Oh, look at that. I got a nice picture of you and your dad. This is back in your sportsman days. We don't want that.
Oh my goodness, it was Speed Connection.
Speed connection.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't remember that.
Well, hey, you got them at
But
the
yeah,
end.
no,
Now, next time you go to Victory Lane, they're gonna be your first one. 'Cause now it's gonna be on your mind that you
yeah,
forgot.
absolutely.
Well, Carter,
Absolutely.
I appreciate you hopping on with me here tonight. I guess I'll let you go at this point unless you got something else for me.
No, just I appreciate you having me on here.
Absolutely. I really enjoyed doing it, giving me some insight into the driver's seat. All right, Carter. Well,
For
you
sure.
have a good rest of your evening. I appreciate it.
Thanks, you too.
So once again, I do want to give a shout out to D&L Disposal. They should be your first call for your waste management needs. They offer residential garbage route in Jasper, Troopsburg, Woodhull, Addison, and the surrounding areas. Aside from that, they also offer dump trailer service rentals for your bigger needs. They will drop it off at your location. All you have to do is load it up and they will take it away. Give them a call at 607-382-7609 to get started with D&L Disposal, the premier residential waste management service in the Woodhull area. Uh, I'd also like to remind everybody, please like and subscribe on Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook page, the TikTok page. I'm going to try to be a little bit more active on that as well. Um, Once again, I want to give a big thank you to Carter Crooker for hopping on with me here tonight. Big thank you to D&L Disposal. And I do want to remind everybody that this upcoming Saturday evening, we do have the $400 to win King of the Bull Rings for the late models, courtesy of Southern Tier Customs, and the street stocks, courtesy of Joe Wilcox Performance Automatics. And while we're touching on Joe Wilcox Performance Automatics, they're still selling lap money, sponsorship money, whatever. I guess I'm not even exactly sure, but whatever they can do for the Woodhull 100 coming up later this year in September. That's a big street stock race. I know Joe's working really hard to make this the best paying street stock race in the Northeast. So. If you want any help with how you get signed up with that, just get a hold of Joe Wilcox and hopefully we'll have a race recap for you next Monday. So for this week, I appreciate you all listening and everybody take care.